As promised, our speaker, Cheryl Smith from St. Croix Rods. And if y'all saw the email, you saw Cheryl fishing with Hank Parker on his television show. You actually sponsor more than just St. Croix too, right?
Yeah, Springville, Plano, Iowa, Exeter.
And so Cheryl is getting her name out into the industry and hopes someday to actually have her own TV show. So without further ado, Cheryl Smith from St. Croix.
I'm sure most of you, probably all of you, are familiar with St. Croix rods, right?
Oh, yeah.
You guys have all used the rods at some point, I hope.
Don't have enough of them.
You never have enough of them. Just a little bit about their technology. This year, they came out with the new Legend Extreme. They had the Legend Extreme that actually came out last year, but this year they revamped the whole thing. It's got the new handle and everything. They don't have one here, and I don't have one yet because they are very expensive. But if you haven't had a chance to hold on to that at any of the shows or play with it, I definitely would suggest you do so. At the Schaumburg show and the Muskie show, we had everybody coming to the booth. All they wanted to do was just touch it. And we said we should change the name of the rod to Sweet. That's what everybody kept saying. We actually sold more of the Extremes this year at both those shows than any other rod. The reason why it's so awesome is there's no other rod like it on the market. The handle itself is part of the rod. All these other rods on the market, even the ones here that you see through St. Croix, all of these are glued on, the handles. All the handles are glued on, and with the Legend Extreme, it's part of the rod. It takes 5 days to cure it. It's a material that they almost paint on it. It's layers that go on it. So all the sensitivity that you feel through the rod is not dampened at all by the handle. You feel everything. So it is actually part of the rod. So that's why it's so awesome. The reason why it costs so much money. They won't tell us what the material is. It's top secret. So I can't even tell you what it is.
It just came out this year.
It came out, the Legend Extreme came out last year, but they changed it. They put all new guides on it, and then they also changed the whole handle. So I can show you what it looks like here. You have it in your book too, but this is a bigger one, so it shows you a better picture. A lot of people mistake it for the Rage handle. The Rage handle is completely different. The Rage has a neoprene sleeve that goes over it, so it's a lot like this, where it goes over the rod blank, but this one is actually part of it. So you're going to get so much more sensitivity with this. The guides were changed also. They had a few problems with those guides. If you had the other Extreme rod that first came out, it's still a great rod. The only issue is if you do have one or know someone that does, if you fish in the extreme cold weather, they found this by accident. One of the guys went out to his garage to get something, and he looked over at his boat, and he had a bunch of his Extremes out there, and all the guides were laying down flat on the rod. And he's like, oh, that's not good. So he called him up at the factory, and he said, cut a piece of that rod off, put it in the freezer, and tell me what happens. And they all laid down. And then they brought it out, and they just raised right back up. So the extreme cold with those ones that were bent, they bent. I don't know if you got to play with that rod. All the rest of the time of the year they're fine, but in the extreme cold they will lay down on the rod. So they changed that as soon as they found that out, and then they changed the handle. And the handle is really awesome. Like I said, if you get a chance, pick up this rod. It's
Which
very
page
cool.
on the small brochure?
It's page 10, I think, on there too. It's right
Page 10, 11.
Page 10? Yeah. So that's definitely something that you want to look for at the shows coming up, or if you can get into a store that has them. A lot of the big stores aren't carrying them because of the price on them.
How much are they?
They start at $340.
Wow, I see it. Wow.
Yeah, but they are sweet. They're very lightweight, they're very sensitive. There's, like I said, no other rod like it on the market. And that one, of course, has a lifetime warranty, just like the other high-end ones that they have. And that also has the SC5 graphite in it, which is unbelievable, sensitivity-wise and strength-wise. And then down from there is the Legend Elite, which is basically the cousin of that one. It just has the cork handle. Still a great rod, still has all the latest technology that the other ones have, all the nano silica, the ART, TET. You can read all that about what all that stuff is on page 6 of your book there. That technology, what I do want to talk about is the ART. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. ART is exclusive to St. Croix rods. What is so awesome about that is any rod company that you see out there, they take the graphite and it's all laid out this way. Well, what the ART is, it's an extra layer that they lay this way over the rod. And what that does is gives it more strength. When the rod loads up, a lot of times they'll oval, so that round will become an oval, and that's where it weakens and it breaks. So what St. Croix did is they took that extra layer and they laid it crossways over it, so there's no ovaling. It doesn't give it any more weight to the rod. It's still very lightweight, but I think it's 10%, 10 times stronger. Gives it 10 times more strength than the rods that don't have it. So a lot less breakage going on. They're not having the snap rods that they were having before. So that's really cool technology also.
Where's that shown in the brochure?
That
Page
is on
6.
page 6. It's that middle one, the ART. And also, you know, the IPC, they've had that now for a few years, which is just keeps the tapering, so there's no changes in the rod blank. And then the TET, the taper enhancement technology, which is pretty cool too. All of those technologies are on the high-end rods, so you have that on the Legend Extreme, the Elite, and the Legend Tournaments. The Legend Tournaments also, lifetime warranty. Those are your walleye rods, your bass rods, your muskie rods. Really popular this past year at the shows. Last year we got nothing but problems from people about it. For muskie fishermen, it's always been a big thing. Since we came out with St. Croix rods with the split grip on the muskie rods, everybody flipped out. They were coming into our booth yelling at us, why would you mess with our muskie rods? Why would anybody want that? We all want the cork. This year, they were coming and praising us and thanking us for doing it. The reason why is what they're realizing, Jim Serra, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know, they did a video and they put it in slow motion of him casting out with the split grip, and when he loaded up, the rod loads from butt to tip. When you have the full cork, it only loads from the top of the cork to the tip of the rod. So you're losing out on that much of your rod. Also, they noticed that consistently, when they cast it out, you're consistently putting your hand in the same place, and you're getting more consistent casts, better follow-throughs than when you have the cork, because your hand goes in different places when you have the cork. This forces your hand to go in the same place every time, and it changed his whole game. So a lot of people are starting to get word of that, and they're trying it out, and they're loving it. So if you're a straight cork guy, give it a try. You might like it. The only problem people were having was with the ribs. Some people didn't like where it landed on their ribs, and they felt like it was giving them a sore spot. But that can be worked out. I mean, you could just change that up a little bit. So on both the Legend Tournament, on the muskie, bass, and the walleye, you can get the split grip or the cork. There's a choice, I believe, on all three of them. So you don't have to go with the split grip, but there are definite advantages to it. All of St. Croix rods are hand painted. I don't know if you guys know that. I went to the factory and I couldn't believe my eyes. All of the Legend Tournaments, they have a big box, and the guy's sitting there, one guy is just spray painting them, and it turns, and he's spray painting them, and then the other rods, you got two people standing up on a deck, and one person's pouring the paint, and the other one's running it down the rod. They painstakingly take great detail in every one of these rods. There's not one St. Croix rod that doesn't take more than 2 days to make, for one rod. And all the way down the line, you got a person handling every part of that rod, where a person's actually doing it. They might have a machine helping them, but they're checking it, double checking it with lasers and everything. So the reason that the price is high on these rods is because of all the painstaking detail they take on making sure that these rods are awesome. Next in line, you have the Avids, which is also your lifetime warranty. And those are just loved by everybody. I mean, so many people have Avids. I'm sure if you guys are using St. Croix rods, you have an Avid somewhere in your arsenal. Great rod. I don't get any complaints about those whatsoever. Those are the cork. I believe, yeah, those are the cork only. And yeah, the Avid series, salmon and steel, head and carp also. And then we came out with the Avid Pearl for the ladies. I don't know, there's a lot of guys that are starting to use them now too. They're not really just for ladies. They are the same rod as the Avid. They just made them a little prettier. So they have all the same technology. They're no lesser of a quality of rod. They're a fantastic rod. The price is actually really good on them, $190 to $210. And like I said, there's a lot of guys out there that are using them. They got guys that have pink boats out there now, so why not use a pink rod? The Rage, we've had a lot of mixed feelings about the Rage. I don't know why. It's a great rod. I think because they decided this year to start giving out a rage with every, I think you spend like $399 or $350, you bought 2 rods, you got a rage for free. And for some reason, people thought that we didn't think the rage rod was good enough quality that we were giving it away, but it is a fantastic rod. It's great for bass fishermen. That neoprene handle that's on there, I think that's on page 19. It gets tacky when it gets wet. So people tend to think that their hand's going to slip on it. It actually gets tackier, so you can grip it better. It's very light. It's got the micro guides, the minimal micro guides, so that keeps it light. And it also, the casting on that, the thing can cast unbelievable because of those guides. It casts really far, really smooth, hardly any you don't have the tangles that you would get on some of the other guides. So that's definitely a fantastic rod. And also that one that's where you start your 5-year warranty. So those are made in Mexico, which everybody asks us, why are your rods made in Mexico? But half our rods are made in Mexico to keep the cost down because the big stores need to have lower priced rods. They're made the exact same. The factory in Mexico is the exact duplicate to the factory in Park Falls, Wisconsin. So there's nothing that they're holding back. Some of the rods have the lower graphite in them, but they're still fantastic rods. That's just to keep the price point down low. The Mojo Muskie rods, we get a lot of people looking into those also. They're basically the same rod as the Legend Tournament. The graphite's a little less on it. It doesn't have all the latest and greatest technology that the Legend Tournaments have, but it's still a great rod. We sell a lot of them. People love them. You can also get that in the split grip also. Next up, we have the Icon, which I love the Icon. I don't know if any of you guys have used them. The trolling, the ones for the trolling rods, they're awesome rods. For the price, you can't beat it. I mean, I've compared them to other companies. I've talked to the people that have used other ones. By far, Icon trolling rods are the best trolling rods they have if you're going to be trolling. The price point's great on those. It's a 5-year warranty. If you look at the technique specific, all the rods are technique specific. If you run down the line of our Icon rods and you run down the line of our Legend Tournament rods, they're duplicate. Action, size, type of technique, exactly the same. It's just these have the SC2 and the Legend Tournaments have the SC5 graphite in them, and that's where your differences come in. So the Legend Tournament's gonna be a little more sensitive, but the Icon is a fantastic rod. I own two of them, and they're really, really good rods. The Panfish series. Have any of you guys used the Panfish series yet? Anybody tried it? Awesome rod. If you guys seen any shows on them or anything, I have one here. I just got my 7-foot rod. This rod, this series is really cool because a lot of the Panfish ultralight rods that you'll see on the market, they're made with the same graphite all the way through. This one has a stronger graphite butt. So you have all the flex that you need in the tip for your panfish and sensitivity, but you have all the strength in the butt for if you have big crappie or you catch a walleye on it, you can lift it. It's not gonna bend all the way under the boat and you have a problem and end up losing the fish. So these are really exciting for us right now. We're selling a lot of them. The price point is fantastic on them. Sensitivity is unbelievable. So I encourage you to come up and feel this and try this out a little bit. Very lightweight, very sensitive. The guides they put on them, they made them a little further out because when you're using the light line and everything on the panfish ones, the line will stick to the rod and you'll end up getting a lot of problems with that. So they made sure they took care of that. So they cast really good. This is one piece, 7-foot, awesome rod. So feel free to come up here and play with any of these that you want to play with.